meeting, I think. Yeah.
Oh, still haven't found a home for that little cat?
Oh, she's with us forever.
Good.
Oh,
Good.
good.
She's got a home.
Well,
about-
you know, she now lives in the apartment and we watch TV with her every night, and Bill's office is here. So she gets lots of attention.
Good.
Hmm.
And, you know, she just doesn't like other cats,
Hmm.
Yeah. Yep, that happens.
you know, but she's a good lap cat.
That's good.
Aw.
A good lap cat is hard to find and it's very worthwhile.
Yeah, but then we inherited another cat. So, oops, get off my computer. But she's a very sweet cat. How's everybody holding up?
Well,
I'm
been
tired.
interesting.
What did Meatloaf say? 2 out of 3 ain't bad?
The stress level.
Hmm.
My daughter is convinced, the political scientist, that he's going to win.
Oh, it seems like the numbers are
And I
gonna.
would win?
Yeah, the numbers are going to work out, but we're not getting the Senate.
No, I'm sure that's true. We've got a reverb.
Huh. That's strange.
Here we go.
Seems okay now.
Yeah.
Good.
But it
And
is,
I can.
got up at 5 this morning and never went back to sleep after I looked at my phone. Should have never done that.
It's a big mistake.
Big mistake.
Right.
Well, I kept telling my Joy,
It's
turn off the television.
7
Don't know
o'clock.
anything
Do
until
we have a
5.
quorum? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we do. We do.
You do.
We have a quorum. So I'm calling to order a regular meeting of the Woodstock Environmental Commission on Wednesday, November 4th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Members attending are Arlene, Bob, Aaron, David, Julia, and our guests are Laura. Oh, we have Alex, right? Yep. And our guests are Laura and Ken. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. That was not Alex. I was looking at your head. Okay, so our guest include Lauren. We do not have Alex. We're not going to have Nick. He can't make it, but maybe Alex is joining us. I'm not sure. Anyway, welcome, Lauren. So does everyone have a copy of the draft agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any changes you'd like to propose? Anyone?
Yes, I'd like to add LED streetlights.
Oh.
Yeah, good. Okay, we're going to add that to the end of updates. Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you, David. Okay. All right. So may I have a motion to adopt the revised agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The agenda is adopted. So has everyone had a chance to review David's draft minutes for the October 21st meeting?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Good. Any changes needed? Further changes? No? May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
A
Somebody-
motion.
Thank you.
Sorry, okay. Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. May I, let's see, all in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved. There wasn't any correspondence. Does anyone have an announcement? Okay, so let's go right to the Amy property resolution, which Aaron, I know that you'd rather call that 10 Church Road, which I agree. I guess the reason I'm still calling it the Amy property resolution is that's how we titled it when we submitted it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
essentially, it's the 10 Church Road proposition. So Aaron, do you or Lauren want to bring us up to date on that?
Well, actually, Lauren, well, so sorry, let me think. So there was the meeting a week later on the 27th, which was the meeting which allowed the property owner at 10 Church, Vincent, to come up with the plan. Is that where everyone last left off?
Mhm.
I think so.
Okay. So basically that meeting happened and It seemed like pretty much everybody, it seemed like was on the same page, that Vincent, the owner, agreed to start having all the fill removed. And I believe he even agreed to do a water test. I think a soil test was still being debated. And then the day after that meeting, Lauren called me, and I'll let him speak to this further if you have any questions. But I guess it's at this point, the town is pursuing legal action with Vincent, the owner, because that's the next steps, whatever. And so the town board is dealing with it with the town attorney. But Lauren, I guess you are better equipped to speak to it.
I spoke, actually, I got a message from John Gilmore.
You mean McGovern?
John, yeah, McGovern. I don't. They're real close in the alphabet, so whatever. But he has started the paperwork is supposed to be done today and up in town this afternoon for our zoning enforcement officer to sign. He is being charged with illegal dumping. Quite a few counts, actually, from my understanding. So this is, if he voluntarily gets everything out of there, man, we got what we wanted, right? So, but if he doesn't, this is the hammer. So, and again, I want to thank you and Mr. Wolf here for everything you put into this, and all of you. It looks like it might work. Of course, in Woodstock, when you hook up the team, not all the horses are pointed in the same direction, but this time it seems like maybe they are. So I think everybody's working together on this, and I think we'll have a good resolution. And I'm not normally that optimistic, but it seems like it can work. So that's about it.
Lauren, forgive me. I was distracted by the phone ringing, and I didn't hear clearly what you said about the lawsuits. Are we suing?
Yeah.
What's his name?
It's my
No.
yes, it's my understanding that we are pursuing under the illegal dumping law against
his
property
name.
owners,
Right.
And they're looking at doing something with the gentleman that hauled all the stuff in there.
So it's a suit against Canigliaro, and then maybe whatever his name is.
Carolus.
Carolus.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
But what happened between the 27th and this suit? Did something happen that he said he was going to clean up, and then he said he wasn't going to clean up, or?
No, he's still, I guess he's been interviewing contractors, and the town has given him the name of some other contractors that of the size that could handle this kind of job. This is just what we should do.
Okay.
Otherwise he could say, oh yeah, I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it next month. I'm going to do it,
Right.
This is the leverage. So that's
But the fact is, Bill McKenna has been working with the lawyer for quite a while. It's taken a while for the legal end to catch up. So Bill McKenna had been talking with the lawyer for quite a while, because the law that's broken is not a zoning law. It's a law being broken, but it's not a zoning law. It's another law where, if it was a zoning law broken, the zoning enforcement officer gets involved. If it's not a zoning law broken, then you take the person to court, which is what Bill's been working on. So this has been coming to fruition. It's very helpful. This coming to fruition now. But as people have been saying, at the meeting on the 27th, Vincent, he knew that he had to get his act together and get the stuff out of there. And so he was agreeing to look into that and work with contractors. So a lot of this stuff is happening in parallel. As Lauren says, everybody is definitely pulling in the same direction here, but the lawsuit Bill didn't start because of this. He'd been working on the lawsuit for quite a while, but it's come to fruition now.
But I do have to say, Laura, the height of the fill,
Even.
proximity to the
Okay.
neighbor, and the angle of the fill are not, they are planning. I mean, they're zoning.
So I have yeah, to your point, Arlene, I was going to ask that question. How can you say there's been no violation of a zoning law when a stop order, a work order was issued? That is it done when there is a violation of a zoning
Was
law.
issued, they
I don't
presented
understand that.
materials that were lacking in their description and nothing was followed up. So
That's
let's
what I
look
don't,
at-
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the dumping, the difference is, so like even in your resolution, which talks about 192 about illegal dumping, 192, the zoning laws start with 260. So the 192 is not a zoning law, but it is illegal dumping. There were some things from a zoning standpoint that could be looked at, like, did you have the right screening so it's not going on the neighbor's property? But the illegal dumping piece of it, which is the biggest issue, was not a zoning piece. So there were
So,
some zoning pieces that weren't
Laura, I think we can all agree that the 196, that there was a law broken. But in addition to that,
Right.
I think what we're saying is, what Arlene is saying and I'm saying is, there must have been a zoning violation if a stop work order was issued. And we have emails from Ellen stating that there was a zoning violation. So when you say that Bill has been working on this, and well, first off, that's just a frustrating statement. But when you say Bill's been working on this and it's just the law, there's not a zoning violation, I don't understand why the town board doesn't feel there's a zoning violation.
There were zoning violations, but the dumping itself was was with like 192. So the dumping itself was not the zoning,
Okay.
but there were some zoning things that happened. So the
Yes.
stop work
But the
order was-
dumping was a zoning violation because of how it was done, by the height, by the angle, by the location. That becomes a zoning violation.
So I understand that you're
That's all
right,
I'm saying.
Arlene,
That's all I'm saying.
you and Aaron are both right, but the question I have is, why are we even talking about this? We have a more serious violation. We have a more serious violation in the illegal dumping, and that is being pursued, and that's the one where the remedy is remediation and getting a lot of money from Carolus or Conigliaro, whoever.
and
So,
the lawyer.
I take your point, and I think I agree with you that yes, there's a zoning law violation, but the more serious thing is the illegal dumping. And that's being
Right.
pursued, as I
And that's
understand it.
being pursued with the lawyer, correct. And that's what Bill's been working on for a while, but it's coming to fruition now. And I appreciate the update from Lauren. And the other thing is some of
Look,
these.
how long has Bill been working on this with the lawyer?
Wait, let me just say, one thing that the WEC had not done was invited Bill to come in to give all the background. So
Wait
I
a
don't
minute,
want-
Laura.
Wait,
We didn't,
Met with
why
him.
didn't we hear from Bill? You
yeah,
know?
why didn't we hear from him in January when he supposedly heard about this?
Well, why didn't you? Well, I think that
Okay, I'm going to save everyone a lot of time. This is not the call. This is not the place to rehash everything. We all know what happened, and
Sure.
there are disappointed parties on both
Agreed.
sides. So
Agreed.
let's like try to move forward. Like
It's having
David
a good
said.
outcome, and that's the main thing. So,
Yeah.
And
thank you very
I,
much, everybody.
say one more thing about getting all the horses facing in the right direction.
Yes.
This is the time to get this is the time to get that mess cleaned up. We can point fingers and ask why it wasn't taken care of sooner, why somebody didn't do something
Mhm.
in February or whatever, but that doesn't help get that mess out of there. So let's get the mess out of there first. And we can all have at each other and see whose fault it is the mess is there in the first place. But
Right.
anyway,
Lauren, will you keep the WEC up to date as far as the progress?
I absolutely will. And
Great.
You
Thank
can either
you.
call me or you can invite me to your next meeting. And
Okay.
but I'm disappointed nobody used the F word.
Well, the meeting's not over yet, and Alex is here, so give it
Alex
time.
is here. Yeah, there's hope.
Lauren,
Is
you
that
gotta
true?
stick around for the late night activity.
That's
When it
right.
gets
I
weird.
wish I could, but I get up at like 3:30 every morning because I'm too stupid to sleep. So I'll be.
We also have a cable version of this call, so.
Is that
I have one question though, maybe before you go, and it's really maybe for Erin, but in case you have an answer also, Lauren. Erin, at that one town board meeting that we watched on YouTube, when we all almost threw our phones and computers across the
Sorry.
room, you mentioned that there were some reporters there, and then Bob sent us that article that was in the Daily Freeman, right? And that was great. Were you the one who organized that, Erin? That they would cut? Because wouldn't it be great to keep this sort of being a bit public as it progresses so that other people know that they shouldn't be doing these things and that we're on top of it and we're watching them?
It was
Yeah,
also Hudson Valley one.
Yeah, I can't take credit for it. I believe the press, and Lauren or Laura, you can correct me, but I believe the press is always, it's at the town board meetings. It's somebody from Hudson Valley One, which is Nick, which used to be Woodstock Times. And then there's Bill Kimball from the Daily Freeman. So they just happen to be there. But I think that you have an excellent point, because it was when we shined or shone, Julia, I don't know the right word, a light on this. It seems like
Illuminated.
action, sorry, which one is it?
Sean.
I would say illuminated.
Okay. Oh, there we go. All right,
Thank God.
Bob.
Good
So when
answer.
we illuminated the light on this is when we started to get action. So I think that you have a good point. Like, we should somehow maybe keep them in the loop.
I
I
think
have
if
three,
people
I have three
know
words for you.
that Woodstock is suing someone over it and taking action, that they would be much less likely to consider
Yeah.
doing something like that in the future, especially new people.
Particularly
Well,
now, it would be a really.
We are in the process of drafting a new fill law for the town of Woodstock, which I don't know if my contribution will go through, but any fill brought in from off-site has to be specified in approved drawings and subject to inspection. Now that should put an end to this.
Good.
Of course,
Can you also make sure that you put in there, if your requirements aren't met, then what happens?
well, I'm assuming that it's a code violation. They put a stop work on you, but
But that's a bit of the issue now, is it was kind of like, okay, so it was a violation, but what next? Like, so
Yeah.
maybe you guys should think about putting that in the upcoming, sorry.
no,
Deaton.
that's I like input actually. So, but I have 3 words for you. Public be heard.
Okay, so there's another pile that
You get two-
my husband noticed on Sawkill Road, a huge pile on the Woodstock side when you're heading towards Kingston on the right, on the water side. So
Whose
I don't know
property?
if- I have it upstairs. I'll email you all.
Wow.
'Cause I didn't know if that was approved or it's just sitting there. And again, it was very large.
Is it Woodstock, do you think?
Yeah, it's Woodstock.
Okay.
Yeah, do send that, Arlene.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're learning how to deal with this stuff now. So it's
Yeah.
you know, I think we're getting had some good practice here.
But you should sign up for your 2 minutes and keep it up front. Keep
Yeah.
it out there where nobody can forget about it.
That's true.
Well, I think as long as Crowley's name is out there, the newspaper will follow it. Truthfully.
Yeah.
I agree.
My big fear is he's judgment proof, but that's, when David Boyle, when our public access TV was worth watching and David Boyle would come on and say terrible things about people, you could sue him, but he didn't have anything. So
Well,
it wasn't anything
Didn't
he
get
wanted.
anything.
So
you can
Crowley's a
put,
business.
he
You know,
was
you-
judgment proof.
you can put in that town law that you're writing that the penalty can be like, say, 15 days, or sorry, $1,000 and or up to 15 days in jail or something. There is current law that says that. You can work that into the law so that the thought of a couple days in jail would be hanging out there, and you'd be surprised how that might motivate some people.
Well,
I
if you-
also consider requiring someone who does that sort of work to post a bond. And then you don't have to worry about them being judgment proof. You got an insurance company behind you. And
Well,
they never go
That's a
broke.
good idea. That's a very good idea too.
Unless we-
I would not want to go that far because we have a lot of local people that are scratching out a living doing this kind of thing. You could do something like the health department does, where any kind of gravel or anything brought into for your drain field has to be from an approved quarry or gravel bank. You could do something like that, but
Well, posting bond, people get it back when they follow the law.
Yeah, but
They-
where,
they only-
where are they gonna get it, Laura? If they're working here, if they're running dump trucks load to load,
Well,
Where
the
do
bond
you
would be
get
by the
that kind of
property
bond?
owner. I think the property owner would have to put up the bond. If the property owner is going to go have all this stuff happen, I think it would be the property owner who would have to put up the bond. And then if it happened wrong, then they
So
would have to
we're
worry about
all,
custody.
we're all speculating on the legal system here. So, and especially with bail reform, I think we should just move on.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
But your idea was very good about the consequences or penalties. So I think was a very good idea.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
Thank you very much. That's good progress.
I'm signing off.
Okay,
Bye,
thank you,
Lauren. Good
Lauren.
to see you.
Right,
I'll never
bye-bye.
confuse you with
Invite
Alex
me.
again.
Invite me again. I'll be here.
Okay, thank you. We're moving on to the Dan Scammer memorializing resolution. So there's not much to say about that, except that we are on the town board agenda for the November 17th meeting. And if we can all be there, I think it would be great. I potentially will be asked some questions, so it would be wonderful if everyone is there to answer those questions. All right. So I think that's it for that one. Let's move on to the natural resources inventory. We had a meeting on November, we're having a meeting on November 12th at 5 p.m. That's our next meeting. We all are to I guess, comment on several different versions of the report. We're moving along with that. And then we're now beginning to insert images and choose images. They're all on that Google Drive, the Google Drive. Anyway, there's not much to say about this. The meeting is on November 12th at 5 p.m. if anyone wants to attend, it's not already planning to.
Has the report we're going to discuss at that meeting been distributed?
The most recent version?
The version that'll be discussed on the.
Yeah, I suspect that probably not. I think Ingrid will probably send that out right before the meeting, or next week. Yeah.
Maybe not right before.
Maybe not right. No, she's good about those things. She will probably get it on Friday. Tomorrow? No, Friday. Okay. And I reached out to the planning board. They know that their feedback, we had Ingrid made a presentation to the planning board on the 29th at their workshop meeting, and they know that their feedback is due by November 11th, which is the day before our meeting. So with any luck, we can fold that in.
Is that on the SOMPIS prop?
I'm sorry?
What?
No, we're still
Oh,
talking
they're
about the
planning
natural
board.
resources inventory.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
misunderstood. Thank you.
Sure. The next item is the educational information for the WEC brochure, but Nick is not here this evening, so why don't we table that unless anyone has something they'd like to say about it? Okay, let's move on. Now we're at the SUMPUS application. So Arlene and Nick and I went for an on-site, and at that on-site, Michael Sumpus was there and led us around, and he had already, in reaction to what Peter Cross had said at the planning board meeting, Sumpus had proposed to divide his 60+ acres into 3, not 5 parcels. So there will be no wetland crossings and 1 buffer crossing by the existing logging road. And that's it. So we're now waiting for a formalization of that. But that looks
Julia,
very good.
I'm sorry. I have a question. What is our role on with the Sumpus property?
Our
Is
role
the
is,
planning board asking us for feedback, or?
yeah, presumably they are. They ask us to go out and take a look. And so before they render their opinion, I think they would want to hear from us formally. Arlene, were you
Okay.
able to put together some paragraph maybe, or
I did not, but I can.
if you would, I appreciate that. That'd be great.
Basically, 2 of the properties have frontage on the road now, which is really good. And the other one is on an existing road. There's one area that could get wet, and they're going to raise the road at that point and put a culvert underneath it. And then where the house is located is really high up and not near any of the wet areas. So I thought it was a really fair design.
Hmm.
They're talking about putting the rest of the property into an easement or protecting it with a deed. Quite honestly, putting it into an easement is a much better idea, because if you put it into a deed, it can be changed in the future. It's not in perpetuity. And if they really want to protect this land and the wetlands, it should be an easement. And that's basically what I'm going to write up.
That's great. That'd be perfect. Thank you very much.
On the question about the WEC's role, you might check the zoning law. It may be required for the planning board to get a WEC opinion.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not just a thing they happen to do because they're
Right.
Nice.
And by that, the same token, then we perhaps should have been contacted for the 10 Church Road property as well. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that anymore. All right. Okay, I think that's it then. Arlene, you'll put that together?
Yeah, I'll do that by the weekend.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So then that leads us to the plastics question. So I forwarded to you an email message that that I received from Iris Bloom, and she would like to revive the efforts on the Rethink Disposables. And I think with the email that went back and forth after that, we're saying as a group that we would like to do something about plastics, but maybe not exactly what she had originally proposed. Was I hearing that? Does anyone have ideas about something else that we would want to do rather than revive the Rethink Disposables? Efforts. David, did you have anything you wanted to say about that?
No, I'm still figuring out, look, this whole thing with the plague has set everything back a lot. It seems to be gradually drifting back into consciousness. I believe the plastic bag ban has now been reinstituted in Ulster County. So
As
Yeah.
I have not seen people giving out plastic bags, which is a refreshing change. So no, I don't have anything to suggest right now except to see, to keep scurrying the evolution of the thinking along. I know I am once again able to bring my own containers to the farmer's market and have them put the fish into my containers instead of, new plastic crap, which is, a personal thing that I like doing. But no, it's a tough battle right now.
Is anyone getting takeout from any of the restaurants locally these days? Are you finding that they're putting single-use plastics into the bags?
I mean, I think that, and this is for now and for when this is ever over, if it's ever over. I feel like a few of they had like some problems with how they wanted to go about it. One is just a dumb name that no one would ever, it's not catchy. I don't know. But it seems to me that there would have to be, that we might want to go about it like with two different strategies, and one would be for businesses and one would be for public outreach, and that they should be separate. So it's not like we're telling everyone to not have the plastic utensils and we're telling the public and we're telling the businesses. I think they need to be done differently, particularly now when I think a lot of businesses are probably stressed to the max, right? Like restaurant, I mean, they're just trying to like stay in business. So that might be like one thing to think about. And then another thing to think about might just be an overall message of how we want to communicate to people. I feel like they did it very limitedly, perhaps, with their last, with their last outreach. And that when you kind of give this like pigeonhole of 2 or 3 things that you don't want people to do, that's what they focus on, and they miss like the bigger picture of the issue. which is just like, you don't need to have all this shit that you throw out all the time. And like getting the new reusable thing isn't always the thing. Like you don't need to go to Sunflower and get the bag each time, even though it's not the throwaway bag. And so maybe like we just want to come up with a different kind of messaging entirely that is like more just like have something and keep it and use it, you know, so it's not, we're not like making it, throwing it out. Like it's bad the whole time. And like, I don't know, it just seemed like just saying like, don't do the ketchup packet was not.
Maybe that's something we could fold into the brochure. Do you
That's
think?
what I was just going to say. That
Okay.
should be kind of part of the
Yeah.
WEC brochure and web pages, maybe.
Mhm.
It's that whole thing about community and having the community be involved with the environment. This is a whole part of it.
Mhm.
All the recyclables and what not to do.
So I agree with you, Arlene. And it seems to me that what we're really asking people to do is to be mindful. And that on the one hand is nothing. On the other hand, it's huge. So, you know, how do you get to a message of, oh, be mindful, you know, like, you know, I don't know, you know, like you want to have my grandchildren come on a web page and say, please forget saving the planet, take care of us.
I guess if you made it a little bit broader, like Arlene is suggesting, you know, people could interpret it also in their own ways. And so they can have a lot of choices of how they're going to do it. Not everyone's going to do everything, but if each person does a couple things, you know, then they're like gaining a consciousness of how their decisions affect the community more.
You know, that's actually not a bad idea to do something with the brochure or on the website, like a list, a community, like a list for people in the community that actually with parents with kids love that kind of thing on the refrigerator where they can say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're not doing. At least my kids used to be that way, what I was doing, what I wasn't doing. But this might be something that as a family, they could be doing, you know, being aware of the environment and what they're doing and what they're carrying in and what they're carrying out.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
You know, it's just thoughts.
Kids, do you really need 12 packets of ketchup? You know, do you really need 10 packets of mustard? Think of, you know, do you need it at all? If you do, how many do you need? You know, yeah, so yeah, it's mindfulness.
Or when you're going to the store, remember to bring something with you, you know, as a kid. Start remembering it when you're young.
Yeah.
Or carry your own bottle of ketchup around if you really have to have it, you know.
Hey.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's move to the LED streetlights, David.
Okay, and Ashley, you may be able to help me with this. What my report is that I met Bill at the early voting last Wednesday, and we had a conversation in which he said to me that Central Hudson was going to be starting to install LED streetlights imminently. It's going to be done real soon. I sent him an email a couple of days ago asking him to send me something, and I haven't heard from him. Ashley, do you know anything about this? If you're willing to unmute yourself. And
I do know that he's been working with somebody at Central Hudson. I don't know that they have a start date yet. I can't guarantee that. I can certainly touch base with Bill tomorrow and see if he can send you information on if they have a timeline.
yes, and also the highway garage. He mentioned that some of the bulbs in the highway garage were going to be replaced. Some of the fluorescent bulbs were going to be replaced with LEDs.
Yeah, what had happened with that is there were some of they call it the bail? There's something in the fluorescent light where you plug the light in. I'm not an expert on this, but where you plug the light in, the piece was going bad. And so it seemed like a good time, since we have to replace every light where the bail is bad, let's just replace everything with LEDs. So there is a plan underway to replace a lot of stuff with LEDs and get rid of the fluorescents.
It's called a ballast, but yes, it's an electric. It's basic. I think it's the starter for the fluorescent bulb.
Right.
The thing that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the resolution, I believe, to approve the authorization of the highway garage is on next Tuesday's meeting.
Yeah, and we do have a board meeting tomorrow, by the way, but it's a special one for the budget.
It seemed like lighting was included in the budget. Am I wrong about that?
I don't recall whether it was on a line, but I know that we're finding a way to do it.
Okay.
I know that Bill had canvassed the board members, and I know I said, yes, it's a great idea. So since we have to do all this piecemeal to replace the ones we have to replace for the fluorescents, let's just do a whole big, replace everything, and then everything's is at a good starting point. So I don't recall exactly where it is in the budget, but I do know we're finding a way to do it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Is there anything else we'd like to say about LED streetlights? No? Okay. That's it for the agenda, unless there is something else that anyone wanted to add. No? Is it time to adjourn?
Do any of you know Ryan Peters? You know, young Ryan Peters?
No.
Mr. Peters from the fire department's son?
Oh,
Kevin Peters' son?
Kevin Peters' son. He started working for DEP, and there's this article that I just saw tonight. I just want to let you guys know. He was finishing up work, and a driver actually went off the road near the Ashokan and went down a gully. And
Oh,
he
dear.
was responsible for like helping him and saving him.
Wow.
It was really, really cool. Like, you know, they wrote him up in the DEP, like paper that goes to the city and everything.
oh,
Started
great.
working, and I just thought that was really nice. And they mentioned he was from Woodstock and everything.
Oh,
It was nice.
Right. Wow. Thank you.
nice.
Well, on the opposite end of that spectrum, I worked at one of the polling places yesterday, and it was at one of the fire stations. So I got to hear the radio all day, and someone was attacked by another person with a chainsaw.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Stop
Voting
it.
related?
Or threatened with a chain. He was caught cutting something down on state land, and they tried to stop him, and he went after him with the chainsaw, and it was very exciting
Oh, dear.
to hear this in real time during the very long day of the election.
But it was not a chainsaw at a polling place.
It wasn't a chain. No,
That's better. That's better.
yeah, no, it was
Oh, God.
Oh,
a true wood cutting related incident.
yeah. So were you
More
there
appropriate.
were you there 6 to 9, Alex? Were you there for the whole
You
whole
get
day?
there, yeah, it's like 5:30 to 9:30.
Wow.
Oh, my
Thank you
God.
for your service. Thank you for
Yeah,
your service.
and I
Yes.
learned that every road in Woodstock is named after someone's family because I met them all,
Right.
and I saw Aaron.
Downer Lane is named for a family?
Just like every person who came in, they'd be like, "I'm so and so," and I was like, "Wait, that's a road here."
Yeah.
Like everyone's, yeah.
And everybody's related.
Everyone knew everyone. Yeah.
Every Schultes
Yes.
in Saugerties and in Olive and in Kingston, and it's
I have a
amazing.
whole new appreciation of the town history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which polling place were you at, Alex?
Wittenberg, the fire
Witten-
station.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
walked in and I saw Alex and we were like, oh, and I just kind of like started to kind of talk to her, and unbeknownst, it looked like I was cutting the line, and then I didn't like
I
do
was
the
putting extra ballots in the box.
yeah, and I was like, I didn't use sanitizer, and then Alex was like, don't use the Ulster County sanitizer, Erin. It's wink, wink, you know. It was funny.
Yeah, we have our own sanitizer, guys. And then, wait, the craziest part is at the end, I didn't know this because I only know about elections from like watching Scandal. A guy came in with like a long white ponytail, like very like dramatically dressed. And he was like, I'm here for the library results. And I'm like, can we just give him the library results? And then another guy came in and was like, I'm here for the election results. And they just give them to them. And
Yes.
they were saying it out loud, and I'm like, should I not listen? Well, how does this work? And then they said anybody can just show up at the election and ask for the results and get them.
Really?
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 Yeah, they don't put it, it doesn't go in like a briefcase that's locked like at the Academy Awards and brought
No,
to, like, a
there are
secret
groups,
site.
And I've done that too. However, I will tell you, if you are running for office and you yourself are on the ballot, they don't want you near the polling place. So that's the
Right.
one exception to that. But other than that, they're pretty welcoming for people coming in to get the answers.
She said it could be literally anybody. Because I said, who does he work for? They're like, it doesn't matter. We just give them to whoever asks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there are
Did
probably
they-
library people that wanted to get their own tally to know right away, and that's a common thing through the years for people to do that. But usually for local elections. But this year we didn't have anybody local on the ballot. But a lot of times people do want to get the answer right away for the local stuff. But
When you
yeah,
say tally, is that the vote count, or is that the number of people who have passed through to vote?
No, there'll be like 122 people voted for this person because the machine tabulates it and prints out a receipt, and then they just tell you.
Wow.
Do they tell them verbally or do they write it down and give it to them?
No, she was like, they just say it. It's not a secret.
it's public record. It's public record.
Wow.
Yeah, so exciting. And then one guy filled out his ballot and then was like, I need a new one. I changed my mind. And then he ripped it up dramatically.
Oh no!
And then like voted for someone else. And I was like, how did you change? What?
Did they allow that? I'm surprised they would allow that.
You get 3 chances with your ballot if it doesn't go into the machine. Yeah.
Wow.
But a weird election to change your mind halfway through, like,
Boy, that's a fact.
Every undecided voter.
I'm dying to know who he changed it from
Really?
to.
Well, he might have changed it, like for our congressman person.
Don't ruin it, David.
Yeah. It was a great
Oh.
story, really.
Yeah. Maybe it was the library vote. He didn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Library vote go to no or yes? I couldn't find it.
There's
It's a
like
no.
1,000. I thought there were 1,000 uncounted ballots still.
There's still absentee ballots they have to count, but there was a no by I think 70 some odd votes.
Yeah, it's very close, but there's a lot of absentee ballots.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
Over 1,000.
So they
I
can't
hope
call it
someone
yet?
sues for a recount for the library.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Real nail biter.
They
So,
can't start.
the Ulster
counting
County,
ballots.
Board of Elections site said it was 100% of the votes in, but I guess that must have been 100% of the machine votes that were accounted for, and that was the no. So maybe there's a chance.
The library said it was like however many to however many. It was like an 80 number difference maybe, and then they said 900 were uncounted so far.
Wow.
Okay.
Absentee.
Or early. Okay,
Yeah.
is that it?
That's it.
7:40, we're going to adjourn.
Have a
Okay,
wonderful night,
thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. Have a good night.